Now, to get to the point, as a defense counsel for the Jews, I could have had this case against the Jews dismissed in just 2 minutes in any court of law in any civilized country in the world, simply by demanding from the prosecuting counsel the testimonies of these witnesses, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and when they are presented in the form of affidavits, sworn affidavits as we have them in the Gospels, I could say that these sworn affidavits, in their original, they are not attested. And the proof, you get any authorized King James version of the Bible, and you will find it beginning. Each and every affidavit begins. The Gospel according to St. Matthew, the Gospel according to St. Mark, the Gospel according to St. Luke, the Gospel according to St. John. I am asking, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, what is this according? Do you know what it means? It means Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John didn't sign their names. It is only assumed that these are their works, and as such, in any court of law, in any civilized country, they will be thrown out of court in just 2 minutes.
In my country, one of the greatest legal minds that ever lived, the man that made in my country the varsity or University of Harvard famous, was Dr. Simon Greenleaf, the great legal mind. He became a Christian through trying to refute Jesus Christ as the eternal Word and the resurrection. Finally, after trying to do it, he came to the conclusion that the resurrection of Jesus Christ is one of the best established events of history according to the laws and legal evidence administered in the courts of justice. C.S. Lewis, the literary genius of our age, men and women, the professor of medieval and Renaissance literature at Oxford, a giant that no one could question his intellectual capabilities, became a believer in Jesus Christ as his Savior and Lord when he tried to refute the reliability of the New Testament, and he couldn't. And he said, I was one of the most reluctant converts, but I was brought to Jesus Christ because of my mind. Lord Caldegoat, the Lord Chief Justice of England, a man that held the highest offices that anyone could hold in the legal systems of England, said, as often as I have tried to examine the evidence for Christianity, I have come to believe it as a fact beyond dispute. Thomas Arnold, for 14 years the headmaster of a major varsity, a university. He is the author of the famous 3-volume series on the history of Rome, an historian. He said, quote, I know of no one fact in the history of mankind which is by better and fuller evidence proven than the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Dr. Werner von Braun, the German scientist, the man that immigrated to my country and he created the American space program, said he never really became a scientist until he came to know Jesus Christ personally as Savior and God. The fifth fact that I discovered was the historical accuracy of the Christian Bible. The Christian New Testament is exceptional in its reliability and trustworthiness and survival down through history. In manuscript authority, a manuscript is a handwritten copy over against a printed copy. Men and women of the Christian New Testament alone in history, there are more than 24,000 manuscripts, not versions, Mr. Deedat, manuscripts, copies. Men and women, the number 2 book in all of history in manuscript authority and literature is Homer's Iliad with 643. The number 2 book in all of history in manuscript authority. Then Sir Frederick Kenyon, a man who is second to no one in the ability and the training to make authoritative statements about manuscripts of literature in history. The former curator of the British Museum said, "The last foundation for any doubt that the Scriptures have come down to us as they were written now have been removed. Both the authenticity and the general integrity of the books of the New Testament may now be regarded as finally established." Then there's some people who do not have an historical perspective of literature that will try to make an issue out of the fact that the writers of the four accounts of the gospel, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, never signed their names. Please, men and women, we need to go back to history and see how they did it then.